Greetings, everyone. Now, this is a bit of a different one to normal. Normally, I like to think I'm a bit safe on the internet, get scammed because I don't spot the scams and everything. But last night, I was a bit tired and we ordered a Tesco delivery that hadn't been delivered. So my wife tried to contact them, and before they could answer, she then got an email saying that the order had been cancelled. And this was like 20 to 10 last night. So I put a comment on Twitter and was asked to send a direct message. So I sent this direct message and got a reply back saying that somebody would be in contact shortly. Okay, so this is from Tesco themselves. And shortly after, I got this message to say, sorry to hear that. Please, can you give us your details? But this was from something different. Now, the person that said it was known as, I said that at Tesco 19067. Now, what I didn't notice was there was an extra O after Tesco, so I'm thinking it was maybe their employee number or something like that. So they were helping out. And he basically said, thanks for reaching out. We'd like to look closely into your query and provide assistance as soon as possible. Which basically I'm thinking, because it's out of hours, okay, they probably deal with it externally like in other countries, so they have like out hours call outs, which is dealt with by other countries like they normally do. So first one last for his WhatsApp number, which I thought was a bit unusual at first, but I thought maybe that's how they work remotely, from abroad. So it says, please, we appreciate for that kindly wait as I connect you to our customer relations team. Okay, so that seemed okay. Now the top and bottom of it was, I got a phone call from somebody who said that, and in order to process it, because they're really apologetic, they said they need to process it straight away. Because I said I'm annoyed at the fact I've got to wait 3 or 5 working days for the money to go back in because we're having to pay for it again for the next order. So this person said, obviously, what we have to do it quick, like what the procedure is, that they use an app called Remitly. Now, at first, I couldn't understand what it was saying because I'd never heard this app before. And on further investigations, it turns out this Remitly app is what's used for sending payments abroad, to other countries. So, like from the UK to the countries. Now, the way he was explaining it was that once I download this app, put my wife detail in it, then that would then allow them to transfer the money from Tesco into my wife's account. What it transpires is that what they're actually doing is create an account in my wife's name. Obviously, they got me to do this because this is how they explained this is what you have to do to get the refund back into our account quicker. Do it on a day, like within the same day. They said it normally takes 15 minutes to do so. And me unwittingly, I did these bits and bobs. And the bank that we're with, obviously I'm not going to name the name of the bank, their bank thing was fantastic because it said, well, hang on a minute, there's something not quite right here because it monitors what your normal payouts are, or what you normally pay for, things like if you go shopping in Asda or Morrison's or Aldi or Lidl or whatever, where you don't that normally, then that's okay. Whereas if you then don't normally pay things abroad, it says, hang on a minute, boom, we're putting a temporary stop on your card. Now, because of the signal we get where we are, we don't always get these messages from the bank straight away. So what ended up happening was, first of all, he said, well, because of all the problems that you had, we're going to give you a £50 credit on top of what you've paid. So I thought, okay. And he says, so we will credit you £200. All right. So I'm thinking, well, that's really good because obviously that's good customer services. When it then turned out, the payment was declined. So this person then starts saying, yeah, but you need to do it quick. You're not doing it quick enough. We'll try another one with £180. And I'm thinking, I thought, well, this is a bit weird. And my wife at this point, she said, I don't think this is real. I don't think this is right. So I got into the thing. He said, just check your app. So she went onto app. We looked at the thing. And there was an option that said authorise, which I clicked on. But then I'm thinking, hang on a minute. And it declined again. So he's saying, well, you're not doing it fast enough. I'll do another one. And then I don't know what you're not. Could you tell you? And I'm like, whoa, hang on a minute. Hang on. This is not right, And I was trying to explain stuff to him, and he started over talking to me again over the top. I said, well, hang on a minute. You're just not letting me speak. I said, and I got quite aggressive with him at this point because I thought this is not right. And I said, look, my wife's not entirely trusting this, and I don't believe this either because it says on the option, it said send money. On the app, it said send. So what basically happened was, we've got our account here, which is our proper banking app, okay? And then you've got this other app, which was, again, set up in my wife's name, but they gave us a password for the bank, which I never thought about afterwards. But you think, well, hang on a minute, if they've set that up with that password, they can control that account. So what was going to happen was this money was going to go from our proper account into the newly created account, if you like, that was being paid to my wife because it's in her name, but it wasn't actually being paid to my wife, because what they would do is they would then take the money from that account and put it in something else because they've got access to that account. Which then I thought, hang on a minute, so if theoretically there's money in that account, what they do is just take it out of that account or put it in their own account. And when we contacted the bank about it, because obviously we put the phone down, I thought, we've got them, I've got our details. So straight away, my wife deleted all the information from that account, all the information, everything, saved it, so there was no information on that account at all. So last night we contacted and I explained to them what had gone on. And she said, no, that's fine. She said, basically, because obviously this particular thing is not what you normally do, it's flagged up immediately and put a temporary hold on your card. But what we're going to do is we'll cancel the card anyway now, because obviously if anything happened in the future, they can't do anything with that particular card because they haven't got that card number. So they've now sent us they're going to be sent us a new card. Google Pay, or Google Wallet as it's now known, has automatically updated from the previous card to the new one already, even though we've not received the new card. So what I would say to you, I mean, the thing that's just really frustrating and annoying, and I got quite upset about this, the fact that I'd allowed this to happen, is because previously I've actually reported these people that are posing as Tesco workers, because they put Tesco but with some other thingies and a number at the end, because I thought, well, that doesn't seem right. But last night I fell for it, and it seems to be happening to a lot of people. Just being, if they catch you unawares or at the right time, because like I said, it was the right time, because Tesco themselves on their automated service said that somebody was going to contact me shortly, which somebody did contact me shortly afterwards, but I didn't get a reply from Tesco's with regard to my previous messages until this morning, which to me highlights, well, there's two main issues with Tesco's that I've got. One, they don't refund you the money until 3 to 5 working days afterwards. So because they've cancelled the order last night, we've had to pay another, whatever it was, £150 or £140 for another delivery to be delivered today. Which, if that's then not delivered, that means that they've got £300. Tesco's have got £300 out of our money that we've had to pay for in advance, despite the fact that the delivery's not actually come, which is not right. And that's one thing that really annoys me about Tesco's, and I think it's probably the same with most shopping companies. To me, they should not take that money out unless the shopping is being delivered, not before that it's being delivered. If it's on the van, they say, all right, we'll take the money now, so it's going to be delivered to you. No, that money should not come out of your bank account until that person at the delivery part, has actually made your delivery, and you've actually taken it all into your house, and then you go, yeah, that's okay, boom, click, that's it, it's paid for, it's done. I'm happy with the delivery. Now take the money. By all means, put it in a holding pot like they do at the, when you go to fill the petrol or diesel, the petrol stations. You put it in and they have like a holding pot of £100, so that you pay the money, and then immediately then you have £100 is put back once you've taken a payment for the petrol or diesel what you've used. Fine, not got a problem with that, but I have got a problem with that they take the money before it's even delivered to your house, and then they don't give you the money back till 3 to 5 working days. I mean, what happens is, like, a lot of people that are struggling, they think, well, I've paid out all this money, I've got no I've got no food or anything like that. How am I supposed to pay for some more? I mean, luckily we've got a little bit extra that we can use for that, which we've had to do. But it's like, if it happens again, then we're going to be £300 out of pocket to pay for Tesco's, which we're waiting for them to refund back. But then we've also then got to go to a shop and actually get the shopping ourselves. Not good. Not good at all. And my second issue with Tesco's is the fact that they don't answer the phones or seem to do any response during the evening. So, like I said, at this point, when we actually had the thing saying it was cancelled, I contacted them. I've sent them the message, and I've asked if they can provide me details of why it was cancelled. Okay, well, I've just had a reply back here. I just checked on my phone, and they did actually put a reply, and it says, "Look to account, you can see your order was cancelled as there was an incident with the van that your order was on," which is fair enough. But why can't they contact us? Why are they not ringing us and tell us? It says there will be someone on at night, disregarding obviously the people answering the phones. But if we are busy, we sometimes cannot reach customers until the morning, as we work on a queue system. So there has been a delay in getting back to customers as we've been very busy. Well, that's fine, but surely a courtesy call would have not gone amiss, because if there was been a problem, because we were, I think my wife said it was something about 6:30. We were at they said we were queue number seven. There were 7 stops before us, and then that was it. So if there's a problem with the van or something like that, why on earth did they not ring us at 6:30? So really sorry, there's been a problem with your van. It's not going to be delivered. We'd have said fair enough, and we could have sorted something else out. But instead, we had to mess about at that time of night, trying to sort all of the stuff, trying to get this thing. And at which point, as I'm on the phone call to these people that were supposedly Tesco's, that turned out they weren't. And obviously, the other thing is from that, when we spoke to the bank, what they also said to us was that we may get a phone call from them trying to make out that there's been some problems with the bank. There's been some fraudulent transactions, and we'll have to transfer money from one account to another. Now, under no circumstances do you, probably answer the phone to them to start with. And if you do, and they said that you've got to transfer money from this account to the to keep it safe, do not do that at all. Now, I've got a friend of mine who actually works in the fraud department for a different bank. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to have a little conversation about it, and he's going to explain various things on what you can do to check for certain things, check for frauds and things like that. So remember, everybody, I would say, I know it's a really inconvenience with Tesco. It's been 3 to 5 working days, but if you get somebody contacting you saying you need to download an app to get some money back or anything like that, don't do it. Tesco themselves confirmed that it's not that it wasn't Tesco that I was speaking to. What I would say is don't give any information or do anything like that to anybody who you've not instigated the call initially. And also the other thing to check is make sure it comes from, like, if it's like Twitter, that it says at Tesco, just at Tesco, nothing else. So that's what I would say. I mean, we were lucky in the fact that nothing, no money was taken out of account. But the police said as well that if any money had got out of the account and been paid using that system, and they took the money out, there will be no way of retrieving that money back, because once it's gone out of there, there's no way that they can trace it or not trace it. Sorry, but there's no way they can get it back. So again, I'll ask Mark about that, and he'll be able to explain better. So now we'll go with the discussion with Mark. Right, greetings everybody. Now, here we are, down below is my friend Mark, and he works at a bank, and we're just basically discussing various things. So Mark, if you want to have a quick introduction of yourself, to tell everybody who you are, and stuff like that, your name's Mark.
Hi everyone. I said, yeah, I'm one of David Solder's friends. I work in the fraud department for one of the UK's largest banks. Obviously, for data protection reasons, I can't say which, but I says I deal with scams on those type of scenarios on a regular basis in my day-to-day job.
Very good. Thank you, Mark. So, first question, we're going to go through various questions regarding, obviously, what's happened to me. So, how common is it, Mark, with scams these days regarding online shopping and deliveries with like Tesco, Asda, and all the major shopping places?
Very common, David. Fraudsters can pose to work for large corporations, including even banks themselves.
Yep.
And they will basically have a knowledge of financial systems and how to manipulate you into believing it's them. They may use things like spoof telephone numbers, David, to make, if they phone you on, like, say, for example, your mobile, to make it look believable. Their sole objective, obviously, as well as obviously trying to get your money, is to obviously distract you from what you were doing at that time, and basically, it just takes your attention away. It's they know they try to find you when you're at your weakest.
Yeah, and the thing is, it's like I think the timing thing as well is critical, isn't it? So it's like if you're, I suppose like with Sky, people have done it with like Sky or any other internet provider. You know, if you're having issues with your broadband speed, for example, and you get a cold call from these scammers and they say, "Oh, you've been having problems with your broadband." The speed of your broadband, people might think, oh yeah, because I've just literally logged the thing. And if, like you say, if the actual providers like Sky or whoever it is, maybe like Virgin Media or whatever, if they say, okay, well, we'll get somebody to contact you shortly, by that point of them ringing you up, it's then, you know, the scammers ring you up rather than the actual people themselves. They've then got you on the hook because you believe that you're talking to them, don't you? And unless they say things that make you think, hang on a minute, that doesn't seem right, or they're asking you to do stuff, you know, which comes on to me like my next question really quite nicely. Can you do you know what Remitly is?
Yeah,
Remitly, the
yeah,
app.
yeah. Remitly is actually one of the largest money transfer organisations. Actually,
Mm,
it handles a lot of overseas payments. Say you were planning to send some money to your family in New
yeah,
Zealand, Dave. Yeah, you might use like a third party company like Remitly to send the money in UK pound sterling,
yeah,
and they will then handle the transfer over to the recipient in New Zealand dollars. So they are a very well known money transfer organisation.
yeah,
Not the biggest one, but there's just as big as things like Wise, aka used to be known as Transfer Wise,
yeah.
Western Union, etc.
Yeah, and the thing is, those last two that you've mentioned there, the Wise and the credit union, something sense, like they basically, I've heard of those, but Remitly, I've never, honestly, never heard of them because I've never used it before. You see, so
Yeah,
when they phoned me up and said, "Oh, you need to install Remitly because that's how we can give you the refund straight away," rather than having to wait 3 to 5 days like you would normally do, because obviously we want to make sure that you're credited. Straight away, I'm thinking, oh, this is good customer service. It's from Tesco, you know, because I'm thinking this is what they're going to do. So obviously, one of the other questions is saying, why is it not advisable to install it when you're being asked to, or installing any app for that matter, really? If it's, you know, and if you're speaking to somebody who you think they are the genuine company and they ask you to install an app, why would you advise not to? And what would you do? What would you advise to do afterwards or in the meantime?
well, if they ask you to install that, be very, very mindful, because what they might also do is what they call get you to download a remote access software app as well.
Yeah,
Whereupon, obviously, something like maybe TeamViewer, Quick Support, AnyDesk, even Microsoft Teams is classed as a remote access app.
yeah,
And basically, that what I see a lot of is where customers download something like that,
yeah,
then they are said, "Oh yeah, you're going to get a refund for your time and inconvenience for what's happened." And they also, and the customer thinks, "Oh yeah, free money."
yeah.
Naturally, anyone won't mind free money these days,
Oh,
but there's
exactly.
no such thing as free money. And as a result, pal, you may get to be after you've downloaded that, they'll say, "Oh, we'll show you your refund in your bank account." So they'll potentially get you to log into your internet banking,
Yeah,
whether it be on a phone, tablet, laptop, or a PC, any device which they've got you to download the remote access on.
yeah,
They'll produce a screen which seems to indicate that yes, you've got your refund. Then next thing, your screen goes blank
yeah,
as if it's switched off,
yeah,
and that's when they go to work. And next thing, later on, you see a series of payments, and you start to second guess yourself.
yeah,
I'm thinking, didn't make that, didn't make that, didn't make that. And if they're on the phone, you'll say, "What have you done?" And obviously they'll try to placate you and say not to worry about anything,
yeah,
everything's fine. But if they're not on the phone, that's when you've got to really nip it in the bud and let your bank know straight away, Dave.
yeah. I mean, one other big tip there is if you ever, I mean, I've seen that kind of the videos for that on other, what they call scambaiters, where people are trying to help people that are in the middle of scams, because sometimes some of them, the scambaiters are so clever they can actually intercept phone calls and then, try and
Yeah.
contact the person and say, look, the person that you're on with is not the thing, and what they suggest to do, first of all, is to turn the computer off because like you said, what they do is they edit the what they call the HTML text, which is behind the website. They have loads of basically you've got loads of text and everything, and which is basically commands for the display whatever's on the window. So you might have a part that shows this particular picture of an image somewhere, and then underneath you get then
Yeah.
the text saying line 1 is whatever, and then you get further down and it might say, right, okay, line 5 shows the transaction for that particular thing, which is a genuine thing when it's come from the bank. But then what the editors do, these scammers, they'll edit the text so they might say line 6, which is underneath, there's another transaction like Mark's mentioning there, and it will say another transaction of something like, say, £500 to whatever it is. So then they would automatically change the total by saying that, and then what they then say is, "Well, you've put more, we've put more money in your account by mistake. You need to give it us back." And they were like, "Well, hang on, what do you mean?" And he says, "Well, I'm going to lose my job over that." And as I mentioned earlier in the video, my previous part to this video, when the guy said, "Well, if this doesn't go through, I'm going to lose my job," straight away I went, "But that's what scammers say." And I said, "Besides, you won't lose," because at this point I was still partly believing that he was from Tesco. And I said, "Well, you're not losing your job because it's the app that says send. It should be saying receive because they're supposed to be giving me the money back or giving us the money back, not us giving the money out." Which I thought, well, that don't make sense. Why would I send money when I'm needing to receive it back? So they were trying to make out that I was sending the money from their account into mine, which is how it was going to work. But I thought, but it doesn't normally work like that. Which, like you said, that read a bit of a red flag for us. So that's something else to be aware of as well. So, like I said, the thing is, if they ask you to install anything or all like that, don't do it. So, what can you say that what could be done regarding other scams to stop you from being scammed? Basically, what are the main rules? Would you say to be on the other side of caution? So in future, what would you think, Mark?
Well, the thing is, though, if you're not sure, definitely don't continue. You should have an instinct because no bank would ever contact a customer to ask you to move money.
Yeah.
And could you imagine someone who you have shall we say, a broadband connection with asking you to log into your internet banking?
Yeah.
That would not, to me, if I had something like that, it wouldn't sit right with me.
No, and also the other.
And that's putting my consumer head on rather than my banking head.
Yeah.
There are so many. I mean, scams are evolving every day, Dave.
Yeah, and it's scary.
Every day, there's so many different types. I mean, like even probably as we record this, someone is actually being targeted by a scammer.
Yeah.
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 And
like you said, they were targeting me because I put the comment on Tesco about a bad service. So they're also thinking, well, this is a scam. So there's people out there watching all the time, isn't there, Mark? That's the thing. There are people watching all the time for these things.
And the biggest misconception, though, is that obviously, as you found out, that is that they only target the elderly.
Yeah.
They target anyone of any age. They could even target someone like your Scarlett, David.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Or any of your children.
Yeah.
I mean, like there's the friends and family member scam on WhatsApp. You need to be careful with that as a parent. Yeah.
Yeah.
Deal with a lot of them impersonations. People buying things, paying by bank transfer. If you're buying anything by bank transfer, it's a massive risk because
So I apologise.
I would strongly recommend if anyone buys anything on a selling platform
It just broke up a
and
bit there, Marks. We missed
you're
that.
offered the facility, pay by bank transfer or card every time or PayPal.
Yeah, apologies there. We had a bit of a break up with the signal there. It kind of he did the bit of a Norman Collier again, like he does. But not to worry, we got yeah, it's fine, mate. Thank you, we appreciate that. So I mean, I was speaking to a friend of mine, and things like I mean, the things that started off with like cloning cards, wasn't it? Cloning the bank cards, and I mean, I had my friend had his. I call Richard. I know he had his card cloned, Oh, it seemed to be because the person we went to a pub and the person behind the bar took the card away, and I noticed him and I watched him and he sort of smirked and said something to like three people that were sat at the end of one of the corners of the bar, and he went round the corner, and then about 20 seconds later he came back, and then he said to him and said, "Okay, thank you very much," and stuff, and he asked him to put the details or to pay for this drinks or something. So my friend trusted him, thinking, well, this is okay. What he's obviously not doing it. Something must have happened at the behind the bar or something. Nothing to his card. And I looked at that and I thought, hang on a minute, why would he go around the corner with his card? So I then decided to pay with my card. Sorry, well, debit, credit card at the time. And they then contacted me short about maybe 2 or 3 weeks later saying, we think there's been some fraudulent activity using your card. Can you contact us? So I phoned them up using the proper number and everything. And they said a couple of things like saying, have you made a payment of £1 to a charity? And I says, no. I says, I wouldn't use my card to pay for a charity. That's crackers. And then she says, have you also made a payment of something like £730 to bmibaby.com? And I'm like, no. I said, well, I've never heard of bmibaby.com. What is it? And she went, it's like a travel company. And I'm like, all right. And then I went, hang on a minute, how much? And she went, £730. I'm like, no. I said, that is definitely not me. And because I was in a bit of a shock, they then said to you, can you confirm some transactions that you might have made, with that? And I'm like, oh my God. And because I didn't use it very often, I thought, I had to rack my brains back thinking what I might have used it on. And I recalled I'd actually made some purchases using these online shopping channels. And what you then could do is ring up and you could say, you press a button because it was one of these jewelry ones where you can place an order for something like a ring or something like that, and then say like an hour, a minute later or an hour later, you see something and you think, oh, I quite like that. That's good. So then you do ring up, put your code in, press one, and then it adds that item then to your basket, which then pay for at the end of the day. So I'm saying, I wonder if it could have been that. So at the point, I didn't get any feedback as such, from what it was. But I can only presume it was from the person in the pub, because when I contacted Richard about 3 or 4 weeks later, he told me that he was trying to pay using his card, which was a credit card, and he said that they couldn't do because there wasn't enough funds available left on his card. He said, but I've not used that credit card, and he pays it off regularly. And the limit what he got on it, I'm not going into too many details of the actual amount, but let's just say, if there's an overall percentage, they'd use something like 95% of that money to pay for things. So he'd only got, say, this 5% left of the total amount,
Yeah,
which wouldn't cover what he wanted to
happens.
buy. And it turned out then these people they've been buying things
Happens.
from Carrefour Warehouse, phones and booking holidays and all things like that using his credit card.
Moral of the story is basically
So it was get a poor connection.
just be on your guard. I mean, most banks, including the one that I work for, will have help pages on the websites
Yeah,
where you can actually learn now all the different types of scams
yeah.
and how to protect yourself. I would definitely familiarise yourself with that, and
Good idea. That's a
basically,
good idea.
yeah, and if in doubt, call the bank yourself on to check things out.
Yeah,
If you're being called, for example, or by a scammer on, say, for your mobile, always ring your bank up on a different number.
yeah,
I probably, if you've got a landline,
yeah,
ring them on your landline, or
yeah.
vice versa. I mean, um, they are getting more and more sophisticated. You got to be ready to obviously smart them at their own game, because you pay a scammer, can guarantee you're paying their wages,
Oh yeah,
and they're laughing.
yeah,
I've seen so many images, shall we say, of these people after they've done their shift and scamming people around the globe.
yeah.
They're in some kind of night spot, bragging to each other, and that's it,
Yeah.
and getting ready to go again.
And
I
it's
says
disgusting, isn't it, mate? It's disgusting.
it's terrible,
And the worst,
absolutely terrible.
and like you say, the worst thing to me is all these elderly people, the elderly ones that are trusting. I mean, I mean, I thought I'd never be caught out, you know. And even I was watching, there's a famous YouTuber that does. He's a proper scam baiter, and he's done so many videos about, you know, what to look out for and not to do this, not to do that. And even he got caught out. He actually did a video saying, I actually got scammed. He went, I didn't think I'd ever be able to get scammed. He went, and I got scammed, basically. And I'm thinking, flipping out.
Yeah.
So it don't matter. I think the biggest thing that I could say, Mark, and I don't know if you probably agree with me, don't matter. It doesn't matter who you are and how good you think you are. There's always that little bit of time where you might just have a little temporary
Yeah.
blip, and your
If
mind
you,
is just
if
not like mine wasn't. I was a bit tired. I think I could
yeah,
have put it down to the fact I was a bit tired because it was 20
yeah,
to 10 last night. I was getting
yeah, yeah,
tired.
yeah.
And it
There'll be
was
that time. There will be that time. Your brain will just like switch off and think, "Yeah, I'm okay,"
yeah,
and then that's when they like to strike. I
that's
says
right.
they do it at your weakest point,
Yeah,
and with that one, aside of that one is basically with them, they're very hard to trace, unfortunately.
yeah,
I says they one if they track one scammer, there's probably another one waiting to take its place.
exactly. And
So
the thing is,
it's unfortunate that they've gone into a life like this, but
yeah, that's right, mate.
it is
And the
what it
thing
is
is,
with
like you
them.
say, it's but the thing is, they've got no morals. They don't care. You know, it's like they could be a life saver, like people have done before with these romance scams. You know, the people are vulnerable. They've lost their loved ones, and they think, oh well, I'll try. You know, try and maybe
Yeah,
try
they,
and meet
like
somebody.
I mean, like they think some of them like that. They would like might impersonate to be some kind of celebrity
Yeah,
who you're talking to.
Johnny Depp being
Like
one of the most common ones, isn't it?
females think they're speaking to someone like Tom Cruise or Keanu Reeves,
Johnny
or
Depp.
if it's a woman, they might think, or a man thinks he's speaking to Pamela Anderson or
I mean, I
some
wouldn't go that.
super some
Yeah,
or
but
some supermodel or like that.
yeah.
I
Well,
says
that's it. The thing is,
they're just so clever. These people.
yeah, and like you said, they've got these people that are making out that they're these, you know, these really pretty models, or they look like models, you know. And what they actually do is they take the photographs from the models and actually use the models' photographs to send to them people to say, "Oh, look, what do you think to me new outfit and stuff?" And they try and get them to be like friendly, and they think, "Oh, we're friends and everything." But ultimately, they're saying, "I'm living like maybe said they say 400 miles away." Like so in America, you know, 400 miles is, you know, distance, but it's not too bad for America. But when actual fact they're nowhere near America, they might be saying that I might be in so and so and I need to get out of this country. Can you give me some money because I'm struggling to get out of the country. We can be together. And they say if you send me some money, I can then book a plane ticket and blah blah. And people have spent thousands and thousands of pounds. You know,
And like
spent thousands of
they
pounds.
are potentially serving soldiers in overseas.
Yeah,
Those type of people,
yeah,
and they need money for flights and things like that.
yeah.
Uh,
That's it.
I says tragic, absolutely tragic.
Yeah.
But I
I mean the
says
thing.
good job you got. Obviously, this sorted out early day for yourself, though, Dave.
Yeah.
Uh,
Thanks, mate.
hats off to you. Other
Thank you.
people would have just carried on with the ruse. So that's all it is. It's a ruse, and
I mean, to be honest, I did
it,
get quite far with it. You know, I got it weren't sort of thinking if it had said originally, well, if I don't get this money, I'm going to lose my job. I just first straight away, oh, hang on a minute, whoa. But Sam, my wife, she straight away says, this doesn't seem right. It doesn't seem right, and I'm like, and she's actually just done a GDPR, is it GDPR course, all about these sort of scam things and things that can end up. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, and it weren't until afterwards I felt such a fool. You know, I felt so ashamed, if you like, the fact that I'd fallen for it because, that, like I said before, the worst thing is that I've reported these people that are claiming to be working for Tesco's, and I reported them before to Tesco's their scam department or fraud department. You know, so I've sent them emails with the details, which I did with this one as well because I took screenshots. And one of the things I thought about doing, I thought, well, I better take a screenshot of the conversation that I had with them. It was
mm,
actually through WhatsApp
yeah,
because I thought, well, that has also got their voice number on it. You know, so that's got their WhatsApp voice number. And again, like Mark says, it could be that they're using a computer to generate that number that's nothing at all to do with their real actual phone number that they've got. You know, because the way that the technology is now, it's just ridiculously scary. And children, they say, oh, I won't get scammed like that. But we didn't think we'd get scammed like that. People, these Scambaiters, don't think they're ever going to get scammed, but they do. And it's like, whoa. So you've got to be,
Yeah,
so not
I
only
mean,
you've got
I've
to
been
up
there
your
myself
game,
as
you've
well.
got to be high. Instead of being on that level thinking I'm all right, you've got to be on that level. You've got to be higher up and make sure that you know what anything at all, that's anything
Yeah,
within a bit of doubt, or you're thinking, well, that don't seem to, like I could have thought my first thing, which I'm thinking, why they're doing it on WhatsApp, it's a bit strange, but maybe that's how they do it because it's out of hours, you see, and that's how they get people because, like you said, normally out of hours. They sometimes use the Indian call centres, which is fine. They're legitimate people. So you ring them up and you're talking to somebody. If it's an Indian call centre or whatever it is, you know then that you're talking to them because you've made that phone call. But because they've actually phoned me using WhatsApp, I just presumed it was Tesco's, but it wasn't. It was somebody pretending to be Tesco's. And it's quite scary, the fact that I fell for it. And like I say, I was a bit late on. And I think in future, if Sam said, like I said, when she's saying, I don't like this, I'm not doing it anymore. And he's like saying, well, you're not doing it quick enough. I said, but we're not, my wife don't want to do it, so we're going to just leave it the normal way. Yeah, but you need to do it. I'm trying to help you. And it would be constantly over and I'm thinking, whoa, hang on a minute, this isn't normal customer services. If there's an issue, they would say, no, that's fine, sir, we totally understand. You want to wait till the so that's perfectly acceptable, not a problem at all. And they would have left it at that, but they didn't. They were like constantly like, well, yeah, but we're trying to help you. If you want the money back, we need to do this and they're like pressuring you, and that's another
yeah,
thing that they pressure people to do it a bit quicker. So in a way, you're not thinking about what you're doing properly, if that makes sense.
yeah,
And like I say, it's just terrible. And these people just, I mean, I'm hoping that something happens, like that they get fined or they get put in prison for a bit, or they change their ways and stop doing these things because people are suffering around the world. It's elderly, young people, stuff, and the hard-earned money. And they're losing things like the pension money and stuff because they're
yeah,
willingly paying into these things because they think it's legitimate and it's not, and it's terrible. And I've always thought to myself as being cautious and probably overly cautious, if you like. Not very trusting. But if I think if we'd have, I think like I said, going back to the thing with Tesco's, if somebody at Tesco's had answered the phone and spoke to my wife, I wouldn't have made that. I wouldn't have done anything on the Twitter side of things with that person and given things on WhatsApp. I wouldn't have done it. But like I said, this is a big issue because there's nobody at Tesco's that's answering the phones within a period, and then they're cancelling stuff. And it said if it's cancelled, you will get a phone call. We didn't even have a phone call from them. So to me, that customer service at Tesco then was terrible. They didn't do what they were supposed to be doing, so they didn't ring us in advance to tell us it was going to be cancelled. They didn't answer the phone when we phoned up to try and find out where it was. So you just automatically assume then that this particular person is from Tesco's and they're going to sort it for you. And it's in a way it's poor service from Tesco's that's caused it in a way in the first place. So
you got it sorted, Dave.
yeah,
You got it
no, as I
reported.
say,
Main thing.
all well that's end well. And to finalise off, I would like to thank Mark really much for all his advice and that, and hopefully Mark's advice and my advice is going to help you out there to stop these further things, and obviously trying, like Mark said, keep on top of things. And I never thought of checking on the bank to see what the latest kind of scams are, And like you said, with this Remitly, I'd never heard of it. And like Mark says, it's basically to send money abroad. So like to people in like could be like Africa, India, New Zealand, Australia, anywhere abroad. But obviously like you said, these scammers are utilising and that app to get money from people, like in the UK or wherever, really. Because, like you say, it's used to send money anywhere in the world. Because my wife said at the time as well, I think one of the things I didn't mention was it said something like a conversion rate of RMS or something. And I'm thinking, so, and she said, well, what's this RMS thing? It's obviously just conversion rate. And thinking, well, and I'm thinking, well, if the conversion rate is because where they are, they must have that amount of money in that country to be able to transfer back from Tesco's. A bit naive, I suppose, in a way, but you tend to. I was trying to believe them or what they were saying was true at the time, but obviously turned out it wasn't. Thanks very much, Mark. Really appreciate your time and your help here. Took us a bit of getting used to setting this thing up, didn't it? But we did some quick tests, found out certain things weren't working, like the sound, etc. But now we should be okay, and this video hopefully will be going up. And thanks ever so much, Mark. So, any final words before?
No problems, Dave. Have a say off. Take care.
Cheers, pal.
Oh,
And stay safe, everybody. And hopefully you don't get scammed like we do. Thanks ever so much.
no. Aye.
Make sure, everybody out there, I did this video because I don't want anybody else to get scammed. I don't want anybody losing money, as a lot of people are doing these videos. This is what they call Scambaiters. And again, I thought I was quite safe. I thought I knew what I was doing. But obviously, looking at the issue that I've had, and the fact it's quite upsetting, and it caused a bit of hassle that my wife's lost a car and everything else. Well, not lost it, but she had to have a new one. It's the inconvenience of it all as well. So, yeah, let me know what you think if you've had any of these issues as well. At the end of the video, or down below, as they say. Hit that bell for notifications for myself, and consider subscribing, and give a thumbs up if you like this video, thumbs down if you didn't, and explain why, because I don't mind any feedback whatsoever. I appreciate your feedback.